What's going on, everybody? Good afternoon. You guys know I had to make a video about this one. The reason why I'm a little bit late on this video compared to some others, because I know this happened like an hour ago or a little more than an hour ago, is because I decided to write an article about it for on SI. So you can go check that article out if you want to. But I also want to make a video about it because this is pretty darn big. Pretty much every Seahawks fan is talking about it. Lions fans, Steelers fans, fans of other teams, everybody's in on this one. And I think there's a good reason why. I think this is very much newsworthy, and I think this is a pretty big thing to be looking at here. So, for the handful of people out there who maybe missed this, maybe you're not watching football today, really. Yeah, DK Metcalf crossed the line today. He crossed the line in a very big way. A little bit ago, before halftime of the Steelers-Lions game, he got into a physical altercation with a fan. All right, guys, let's take a minute so I can tell you about Sleeper, a one-stop shop for all your sports needs. You can celebrate and chat on sports games in real time with other users. You can get the fastest scores, blazing fast sports news and sports alerts right at your fingertips. And of course, you can use Sleeper to play in fantasy leagues and win real money on picks contests. This is the way sports were meant to be enjoyed together. So download Sleeper today. Use promo code SBN to get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. And you can pair that with another promo they have right now where you can get a $20 entry free with no deposit required. So get both of those things going. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states and growing. So check out Sleeper today, get to it, and go have some fun with sports this year. Right. So, I think that there's a very good reason why a lot of Seahawks fans are talking about this right now, and I am most certainly here to talk about it too. If for no other reason, then I think I have a pretty big L to take right now, and it's it's about this very specific thing because let me start at the beginning here. Way back in the day, way back when DK Metcalf was on his rookie contract, way back when he was just starting the extension many years ago, when there was still a pretty substantial debate going on between Seahawks fans about whether or not DK Metcalf was a great player or a good player or an elite player or whatever. I said that as it pertained to his personality and emotions, that stuff would get better as he got older because that is how human beings work, right? You get older, you get more mature. Yeah, no, apparently not. Apparently, if you're DK Metcalf, not only do you not even stay at the same level of emotional volatility, you get worse. So I'm not going to play the clip on video. And by the way, sometimes people ask me why I don't play videos like that on my video. It's because the way I see it, the video isn't like the video got posted by Adam Schefter in this case. Like I have this Adam Schefter tweet on screen. And I think that taking like news information or text from a tweet is one thing. But when it comes to something like a video clip, I think that you should have to go to the tweet from the original person to see it. Like I made a video a few days ago and at least a couple people were saying like, well, why don't you play the video on your video? I don't know. It just doesn't seem right to me. I think that the person who actually posted the video clip, it, if at all possible, should be the one that you go to see that. But for this one, let me just say everybody's seen it. Now, basically, to make a excuse me, sorry guys. Basically, to make a long story short here, DK Metcalf, he's playing in the game with the Steelers against the Lions. It's the second quarter. Neither offense is really doing anything. There's not a heck of a lot going on. Everything kind of things are not going very well for DK Metcalf or really anybody on either offense at that moment in time, I think. And there's a Lions fan near near the bottom of the bowl in the stadium, and he's holding up a sign. I don't know what the sign said. It doesn't matter. And I guess it was insulting to Metcalf. And when Metcalf got close, the fan said something insulting to Metcalf. I'm sure he said something bad. I don't know what he said. It doesn't matter what he said, though. because as you can see in the picture here, Metcalf is grabbing the guy's hair. Now, if you watch the rest of the video, just to briefly describe it, he either punches or shoves him, and he punches or shoves him either in the head or the shoulder. It's not entirely clear, but there was definitely physical contact. It was definitely instigated by DK Metcalf, and it was most certainly crossing the line. And I want to say this. There is a line between player and player on a football field, but the line is pretty weak. It's not super well defined, and I do believe it is prone to being susceptible to be broken by emotion. And I think that is just the way that it goes in this league sometimes. If a player is, hitting a player excessively hard, if he's hitting him after the whistle, if he's hitting him in a way that is illegal, yes, it should be punished, but it's also part of the game. You find the player, you suspend the player, you admonish the player, and you move on. It's just what it is. But a fan is something completely different. And we all know, we rooted for DK Metcalf for 6 years here in Seattle. A lot of penalties, a lot of emotion, a lot of losing control, a lot of going over the top, a lot of, I would go so far as to say, blowing opportunities for this team to have a successful drive or even a successful game because of his emotions. But that ire that has drawn such penalties that have been very costly has tended to come by jawing with other players or getting overly physical with other players or something akin to that. This is a fan. And I want to stress again, I don't really care what he said or what the sign he was holding up said. Um, Fans, one of the reasons why they pay so much money to go to any sporting event is that they feel like, and I believe they should have, absolute belief that they are safe, that they can heckle, that they can insult, that they can be mean, and there will not be physical consequences from these very big, very strong, very athletic men, millionaires, by the way, and it just is what it is. And today, DK Metcalf broke that line. So what I'm trying to get to is that I said DK Metcalf was going to get more mature as time went by. Clearly, he's gone the other way. He's gotten worse because this is the worst thing he's ever done by a pretty wide margin. And first of all, he did not get suspended or excuse me, he didn't get kicked out of the game. I know that. He should have. I think he should be suspended for the rest of the season at minimum, and I think he should be fined excessively because this is all about precedence now. It's like the Malice at the Palace. If you guys remember that, the Malice at the Palace 2005 Detroit Pistons versus Indiana Pacers. Ron Artest thinks that a fan threw a beer at him, runs into the stands to beat up the fan, creates a gigantic brawl. Most of you guys probably know this story. If you don't, go look it up because it's a fascinating story. By the way, Ron Artest started beating up the wrong fan. He beat up a guy who did not throw the beer at him. Another fan threw the beer at him. But the thing is, you break that line between fan and player. The fan is still in the seats. He's not on the field. This is not Bobby Wagner tackling a fan running around streaking in the middle of the field. This is a guy who is still in the stands, and Metcalf physically assaults him. You can make an argument that Metcalf should go to jail. Like there's an argument to be made that DK Metcalf should be arrested over this. And if I'm the fan, I am suing like crazy right now, and I am coming out of this with a fortune that makes it so that I never have to work another day in my life. Like I think this needs to be taken very seriously. And I want to say this as well. I am somebody who has always downplayed DK Metcalf's antics. I have always said I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think people are making too much of it. I don't think it hurts the team that much. I think a lot of it is him being targeted. But none of that applies today. And yeah, I think that this needs to be about as harsh as there has ever been. I think that this is worse than Myles Garrett on Mason Rudolph because that was a player. And again, I'm going to say it. I'm not saying that it's okay to physically attack players in a way that is clearly outside the lines of the sport, but I understand that it happens, and when it happens, it should be dealt with. This is something that needs to be dealt with in a much harsher way. If I'm a fan going to a game, if I'm paying those crazy prices to go to a football game, I want to know that there's a 100% chance that I will not get physically assaulted by a player. 100%, not 99%, not 99.9%, 100%. The only way you can do that is if you come down extremely hard on DK Metcalf. But beyond the scope of that's almost a different topic for another time. Yeah, this guy's not getting better. And I guess the moral of the story is there's no regrets here. And look, going back to the DK Metcalf trade, I was fine with the trade. I was less fine with the compensation, and I'm still not over the moon with the compensation that we got. It definitely felt like kind of a fire sale thing where we just gave away the player for whatever the deal was because we knew we had no leverage. But maybe it had to happen. I was also amenable to that, even if I was kind of annoyed that we traded DK Metcalf for basically Elijah Arroyo and cap space. But honestly, even, it doesn't even really matter what you got back out of it. There's nothing that makes pain. And remember, DK Metcalf got all that money from Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh traded away George Pickens to get DK Metcalf. And Pittsburgh's probably going to be in the playoffs in a couple weeks. And DK Metcalf is out there doing this. So, no, he's not going to get better. He's never going to get better. This is just who he is. And look, there was a time where I would have said I am willing to live with it, but I'm not willing to live with this. So I hope they throw the book at him, honestly. And I say that as someone that for most of his career, I've been a big fan of DK Metcalf. And yeah, I was wrong about that, at least. I was wrong about that one thing. I don't think that DK is nearly as bad a player as some people pretend. A lot of people act like he's some really bad receiver because he drops passes or something. I don't agree with that. I even think that like this year, his production, yeah, it's not very good, but I think there's also an element at play here of it's circumstantial. It's the offense, it's the quarterback, it's all these other things going on. It's not really Metcalf being bad so much as it is just the circumstance. So there's some areas where I still think the hate against DK Metcalf is overblown. And while I wasn't unhappy with the way things had played out so far this year without him, I did kind of go like, we don't need to do the sour grapes thing, guys. We don't need to be sour grapes about DK Metcalf. So I did kind of sort of defend him a little bit, even though he wasn't on this team anymore, or at the very least, I defended him against what I thought was unwarranted criticism. And I'm still with that. I still think that he's a very good and very valuable player. Probably not worth what he got paid, but good and valuable. This, however, there's no defending this. And I'm going to say it again. Shouldn't play again this season. Shouldn't play in the playoffs. And then we should revisit things. I would treat it the same way as we treated Myles Garrett. Right? Myles Garrett had to was suspended indefinitely. And I'm going to say it again. I know it sounds crazy because the violence is not nearly as overt. I think this is worse than Myles Garrett. Okay. I'll see you guys later. Go Hawks. And yeah, I gotta kind of take the L here. Not that it's really an L worth taking because he hasn't been on the team for 9 months, but he's not getting better. Okay. Go Hawks. Check out my article on SI as well.